So a new presidential directive just dropped, and it's all about creating a fresh federal framework for historically Black colleges and universities. Today, we're going to deconstruct Executive Order 14283, breaking down exactly what it says, what it does, and maybe, most importantly, what it changes. All right, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap. We'll start with the basics of what this order even is, then look at its purpose. After that, we'll unpack the new initiative and the advisory board it creates, see what old policies it's replacing, and then wrap it all up with the big takeaway. First things first. Before we get into the weeds, let's get a really clear handle on what this document is and who it's for. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. So the bottom line is pretty simple. On April 23rd, 2025, a new order was officially put in place. And its whole goal is to lay out the federal government's game plan for supporting these really vital institutions. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is an executive order? Well, think of it like this. It's a formal, signed directive straight from the president that basically has the force of law. It's one of the main tools used to manage how the federal government actually operates day to day. And here's something that's super important to know. When this order says HBCU, it's not just a broad, casual term. It's pointing to a very specific list of institutions that are officially defined in the Code of Federal Regulations. The precision here is absolutely key. Okay, so now that we know what this thing is, let's get into the why. Why was it created in the first place? What are the official goals that are laid out right there in the text? If you look at Section 1 of the document, you'll find this really clear mission statement. The language they use here, beacons of educational excellence and economic opportunity, tells you a lot. The goal isn't just support, it's about elevating the profile and the real-world impact of these schools. Then, in Section 2, it breaks that big mission down into some concrete policy pillars. And you can see it's a multi-pronged approach, right? It's about helping HBCUs get a fair shot at federal programs, but it also frames their success as something that's totally crucial for the entire nation's competitiveness on the world stage. So, this is the crucial question. How does all that talk about policy actually turn into action? Well, that's where the newly established White House initiative on HBCUs comes in. You can think of this as the real engine of the order. And listen, this isn't just some other committee buried in a bureaucracy. The order specifically places this initiative right inside the executive office of the president. That's a pretty big deal. It suggests a high level of priority and some very direct oversight from the top. Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. The order gives the initiative two distinct but totally interconnected missions. On one hand, it's looking outward, trying to pull in the private sector for support. And on the other hand, it's looking inward, trying to build up the internal horsepower of the schools themselves. Let's break down that first mission a bit more. This is all about building bridges to private industry and foundations. The focus is really on the nuts and bolts. Improving financial stability, modernizing campuses with better tech, and creating direct career pipelines for students into those high-demand fields like tech and finance. Then you've got the second mission, which, wow, it covers a lot of ground. We're talking about everything from implementing existing laws to building better pipelines from K-12 schools, and, this is a big one, helping these institutions compete more effectively for federal research dollars. It even requires an annual White House summit to keep the momentum going. So we have the initiative as the doers, the ones who are supposed to make things happen. But alongside them, the order also creates a whole separate group, an advisory body to provide strategic advice and that all-important outside perspective. This is the President's Board of Advisors on HBCUs, and you gotta notice its location. While the initiative is in the White House, this board is actually housed within the Department of Education. Its job is to counsel the president, but it channels that advice through the initiative we just talked about. So they're designed to work together. So who's actually on this board? Well, Section 4 is clear that it's going to be a really diverse group. It's specifically designed to bring in outside experts from philanthropy, business, and finance, alongside, of course, the absolutely crucial perspective of current HBCU presidents. Now, to really get what this order does, you have to understand what it undoes. See, this isn't just another layer added on top of existing policy. Nope, it's a direct replacement, a full swap. Section 6 of the order is super direct about this. It doesn't mince words. It explicitly revokes an older executive order and terminates a different advisory council. This is a very clear signal of a reset in the federal approach and a new strategic direction. And this slide just lays it out perfectly, right? Executive Order 14041 from 2021 is out. Executive Order 1483 from 2025 is in.
It's about as clean a swap as you can get. Out with the old, in with the new.
And it's not just that main executive order getting replaced. The text also specifically tells the EPA to terminate its own separate advisory council. This really suggests a move to centralize the advisory role instead of having it spread out across different government agencies.
Okay, so after digging through all those details, what is the big takeaway here? How do we pull this all together? Well, I think it really boils down to a new four-part framework for action.
Here's the whole structure in a nutshell. First, the order establishes the new policy. Second, it creates that powerful initiative in the White House to actually execute it. Third, it forms the advisory board to provide outside counsel. And fourth, and this is so important, it requires an annual report to the president to make sure there's accountability.
So there you have it. The new framework is officially in place. You've got a clear policy, an action arm, an advisory board, and a mandate for accountability. The only question left, and it's the one that matters most, is how will this new structure, this new machine, translate into tangible, measurable impact for the students and the institutions it's all designed to support?